white privilege, which is interesting to me because after doing some research on Miss Carrington, you find out that she came from a multi-million dollar family. Her father was an ex-NFL player, played on multiple teams. She lived in a mansion, had private coaches, chefs, went to private school. We're going to put an end to this, and we're going to say that for you to play in the WNBA, you need to be born a biological female. You need to have XX chromosomes. You need to have female reproductive organs. You need to be born with a uterus. Here's just another example as to why women are passive and they're non-confrontational. And because they're non-confrontational, you have to have men like Enes Kanter and Royce Young stepping in and saying, you know what, we're going to expose you because we know you're placating. Hi everybody, welcome to the Amir Khan Show. It is Tuesday, August 11th at the time of this recording, and oh boy, we've got some news coming out of the WNBA once again. And frankly, I'm getting sick and tired of being sick and tired with the WNBA. So the WNBA clearly states that you need to be a female to be in the WNBA, but they won't define what a female is. And in the past few weeks, you have multiple players, active WNBA players and active WNBA coaches coming out and saying that they would welcome trans females into the WNBA. Now, we all know they're lying because if they did, they would have let one of the active trans female athletes that is playing basketball in the Euro League, who is dominating that league, by the way, averaging a double-double, which is, by the way, has never been done before. No one, not even an NBA player, has ever averaged a double-double. Now, if they did want to honor this, they would welcome this trans female into the WNBA, but of course they're not, because it's all a sideshow. It's a clown show. It's a distraction is what it is. So you have ex-NBA players like Enes Kanter, who's played for multiple NBA teams in the past 11 years, is saying, I'm going to be drafted. I'm going to be submitting my application for the 2027 WNBA draft. So from what I understand, he's actually submitted his paperwork and is ready. And you have another ex-NBA player named Royce White, who is also going to be following suit with Enes Kanter and submitting his application. So this is going to be interesting to see. And, you know, the WNBA is getting a lot of noise, a lot of attention, and it's the wrong attention. This is not the attention you want to be getting. You want to be organically growing your audience, not this way. So all that being said, why doesn't the WNBA come out and say, hey, we're going to put an end to this, and we're going to say that for you to play in the WNBA, you need to be born a biological female. You need to have XX chromosomes. You need to have female reproductive organs. You need to be born with a uterus. Now, I could define what a female is, so why can't these multi-millionaire, billionaire WNBA owners and commissioners? Well, it's because, again, they think this attention is the right attention, and in fact, it is a complete distraction. And I also blame the females in the WNBA for, besides maybe, 5 people that I can think of off the top of my head that are actually saying, no, we do not want biological men in female sports, such as Sophia Cunningham, who's had the cojones to stand up to this. Now, the reason why I blame females in the WNBA for this is because they simply aren't stepping up. They're not speaking out against this. And here's just another example as to why women are passive and they're non-confrontational. And because they're non-confrontational, you have to have men like Enes Kanter and Royce Young stepping in and saying, you know what, we're going to expose you because we know you're placating. You're trying to be inclusive when you're not. Because biological men and biological women do have massive differences. So, again, and I for me, it's baffling that if you're a parent of a daughter who plays sports, that you haven't spoken up about this, and you're gonna let these trans females pretty much destroy the sport and just take it over. Um, so, and then on top of that, the WNBA has got additional things they're dealing with, and one of those additional things is the fact that you had a flagrant foul against Sophia Cunningham that did Jono Carrington, where when she hit Sophia Cunningham on a fast break and got a flagrant 2 and was ejected from the game it's when I saw that play, I thought it should have been a flagrant 1. I didn't think it was that big of a foul, because to me it looked like she was reaching for the ball but hit her head. Fine, it's a flagrant 2. It's above the head contact, whatever. But it's what she said afterwards, and it's so after the Jono Carrington was ejected, she tweeted at the Indiana Fever saying white privilege, which is interesting to me because after doing some research on Miss Carrington, you find out that she came from a multi-million dollar family. Her father was an ex-NFL player, played on multiple teams. She lived in a mansion, had private coaches, chefs, went to private school, got tons of training to be in the WNBA, versus Sophia Cunningham, who grew up in a blue-collar family. Father was a construction worker, went to a public school, didn't have private chefs, didn't have private trainers. She just worked her butt off. So the irony or the hypocrisy in calling her privilege when, in fact, Carrington is the one who comes from privilege is quite interesting to me. And there seems to be this jealousy from the black WNBA players against the white NBA female players that are actually thriving in the WNBA, like a Caitlin Clark, like a Sophia Cunningham. And from what I understand, these two ladies are the face of the WNBA in 2026 and likely will be in 2027 if they could stay healthy and don't get physically abused in the WNBA. So let's see where this goes. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Catch you guys on the next one.